Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, here's something maybe you haven't thought much about. Electric cars. They feel super modern, 21st century, right? Well, plot twist. They've actually been around for well over 100 years. Seriously. And that little fact just opens up this huge question we're tackling today. If electric cars are just so much better at using energy than gasoline cars, I mean, fundamentally more efficient, why on earth did it take basically a century for them to start becoming mainstream? It feels like a massive missed opportunity, doesn't it? So our mission for this deep dive, we're going to unpack that really striking efficiency difference between electric and internal combustion engines, ICE vehicles. Then we'll take a quick trip back in time, look at the dawn of electric cars, which is fascinating stuff. And finally, we'll really focus on the powerful economic forces and the tech hurdles that shape their very slow path to adoption. We're using your provided sources to get to the bottom of it. Let's dig in.
Okay, so we mentioned this astonishing efficiency gap. Let's break that down a bit because the numbers are pretty wild.
Electric cars, they convert something like, 85% of the battery's energy into actually moving the car. That's huge.
It really is. An incredibly high percentage. And that's before you even factor in regenerative braking.
Ah, right. That's the clever bit where slowing down actually puts energy back in the battery, isn't it?
Exactly. The motor works in reverse, essentially, acting like a generator. It recaptures energy that would otherwise just be lost as heat in traditional friction brakes. Now, compare that to your standard gasoline or diesel car, the ICE vehicle. They're only operating at about maybe 20 to 25% efficiency.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so wait, 75 to 80% of the energy in the fuel just disappears.
Pretty much. It's lost primarily as waste heat going out the exhaust pipe, but also through engine friction, powertrain losses, all sorts of things. You see, a gasoline engine is a heat engine. It works by controlled explosions, creating heat and pressure. And the laws of physics, well, they dictate that converting heat to motion like that is inherently inefficient. Lots of energy just radiates away.
Okay, let's unpack this. The numbers here are really striking, aren't they? 85% versus maybe 25%.
They really are. What's fascinating here is how fundamentally different the energy conversion process is, and how much potential was always there with electric. It's direct, electrochemical to mechanical, much cleaner.
So with that kind of advantage clear from the start, and even clever tricks like regenerative braking possible, it really begs the question, why didn't EVs just take over back then? Were the other problems just too big?
It's a great question, and yeah, it does feel like a lost chapter. Because electric vehicles weren't just a theory, they were a reality. They saw significant development, late 19th, early 20th centuries.
Like real cars people could buy.
Absolutely. Get this. The first Italian electric car, built way back in 1891 by a Count Giuseppe Carli.
1891?
Yeah. And these weren't just like oddities. In the early 1900s, electric cars had a genuine appeal. People liked them because they were practical. Think about it. No difficult hand cranking to start like early gasoline cars. No smelly fumes. They were quiet and much simpler to operate. No complex gear shifting.
Huh. I never really thought about the downsides of early gasoline cars.
Exactly. And we even saw companies like Dora in Italy producing electric cars back then. They could go, 80 to 100 kilometers on a single charge. That's maybe 50 to 60 miles.
Here's where it gets really interesting. With capabilities like that, even back then, you have to wonder, what happened? Why aren't we all driving descendants of that Dora?
Right. It wasn't just one single thing that stopped them. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you start to see how these converging factors created a perfect storm against electric.
Okay, so what were they?
Well, first off, internal combustion engine technology was improving fast. Really rapid, continuous progress. They got more powerful, more reliable, easier to start over time. And happening at the exact same time, you had the rise of the petroleum industry. A huge, powerful industry expanding aggressively, making gasoline cheap, and crucially, available almost everywhere through gas stations.
Ah, the infrastructure factor.
Precisely. Refueling a gasoline car became quick and easy. Compare that to early electrics. Batteries were expensive, heavy, didn't last that long, and charging them, that took hours, assuming you even had access to electricity readily available for charging. The energy density just wasn't comparable to liquid fuel.
So convenience was a huge issue.
Massive. And then you layer on top the economic forces. You had large, increasingly powerful oil companies, and the established auto manufacturers heavily invested in ICE technology. These lobbies had a very strong interest in maintaining that petroleum-based system.
So they actively worked against electric.
Well, it's fair to say their influence shaped the market. They invested heavily in fossil fuel infrastructure, promoted the benefits of gasoline cars, maybe downplayed the potential of electrics, and influenced policy decisions. It wasn't necessarily a conspiracy, but, their economic weight definitely steered things.
Okay, so you've got rapidly improving IC tech, cheap and easy gasoline, expensive and inconvenient batteries.
The high initial purchase price of EVs, almost zero charging infrastructure, and powerful industries pushing the alternative. It all stacked up.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, you start to see how these converging factors created a perfect storm against electric. It wasn't just the tech limitations, was it?
No, not solely. The technical hurdles were real, especially the battery limitations, range, cost, lifespan, charging time. But the economic and infrastructural factors were arguably just as, if not more, decisive in the long run.
So what does this all mean for the trajectory of innovation and market adoption when powerful forces are at play? It sounds like the path isn't always just about the best technology winning out immediately.
That's absolutely key. The history of the EV shows that market adoption is complex. Established industries, infrastructure lock-in, policy decisions, consumer habits, they all play a huge role. While those technical limitations like limited range and long charging times were definitely there for early EVs, their impact might have lessened sooner if there hadn't been such strong counterforces. Battery tech did improve slowly over the decades, just not dramatically enough to compete until recently.
So what changed? Why the big comeback now?
Two main things, really. First, massive leaps in battery technology, specifically lithium-ion batteries over the last, say, 20, 30 years. That dramatically improved energy density, lifespan, and brought costs down eventually. That was the game changer on the tech side. Second, and just as important, is the huge shift in global awareness and policy around climate change and air pollution. Governments started pushing for cleaner transport, offering incentives, setting emissions targets.
Right, the environmental push.
Exactly. So you have this convergence again, but this time favoring electric. Much better technology meeting strong policy support and growing consumer demand for sustainability. That's what's fueling the current boom.
It's like the inherent efficiency advantage is finally getting its moment, recognized for both environmental and economic reasons.
Precisely. And we're seeing that translate into real market shifts globally. Adoption is climbing fast, especially where policies are supportive.
You mentioned Italy earlier. That growth figure was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Italian plug-in market example is striking, up over 250% since 2019. That kind of growth shows real momentum when the conditions are right.
But it's not all smooth sailing yet, is it? There are still challenges.
Oh, absolutely. The journey isn't over.
Sure.
We still need much more widespread and accessible charging infrastructure, especially fast charging. And the upfront cost of EVs, while falling, is still a barrier for many people. We need to keep pushing on both those fronts.
So wrapping it up, the core efficiency of electric was always there, known from the start, really.
Yes, fundamentally. But its path was blocked for decades by that combination of, strong economic interest tied to oil and combustion engines, alongside those persistent technical and infrastructural hurdles. Now, though, with the tech breakthroughs and the environmental imperative, the market is decisively shifting towards electric, towards more sustainable mobility. It took a long time, but it's happening.
So the story of electric vehicles isn't just about batteries and motors, is it? It's a real deep dive into history, into that basic quest for efficiency, and maybe most importantly, into how powerful economic interests can really shape the technological path we take. Understanding that history, it really helps make sense of what's happening now in the market and maybe what to look for in the future. And it kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? Given that the efficiency of electric cars was understood, but its progress was, let's say, hindered by powerful interests for over a century, what other potentially transformative technologies might be out there today facing similar, perhaps unseen hurdles, maybe in energy or medicine or materials? And how can we, as people who are aware of this history, maybe get better at identifying and supporting those breakthroughs before another 100 years slip by? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.